Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here, and yes, I really would like to talk to you about that why we are failing with test automation. I really would like to stick to the time, and I really would like to have this presentation to be an interactive one. So I'm going to have some questions during the presentation. And right now, we are going to start the presentation with the question: how many of you working on the field test automation engineers? Yeah. So why we are not calling this conference Test Automation Conference right now? Because there are a lot of people working there. How many of you here are managers? Bosses? Okay. Did you ever ask the question from your team? Hey guys, why we are failing with test automation? What's wrong with test automation? Yeah? Did you get the answer? Okay. So before I start, I really wanted to give you just a short introduction about my company, because it's crucial, I think, to understand that how our QA team is there in the company. So basically, we are producing hardware and software systems at National Instruments, and we are supporting the work of engineers and scientists. But there are some dedicated guys who are testing those systems, those huge, embedded, and complex systems. On the other hand, the company has its own ERP system and the backend, where we have all the business data, all the business processes implemented there. We have manufacturing, finance, sales, marketing located in the system, and this actually drives our business. So on top of that, we have our own e-business platforms as well. If you go onto the company's page, you can buy and search for our products as well. So what does it mean that our company has their own business analysts? We have our own programmers. We have our own QA team. What does it mean? So we are not doing any outsourcing work. We are doing our own business. And our QA team is responsible for testing these kind of systems. And we are so having worked together so closely with the business partners. So I'm pretty sure that companies who are starting using test automation went through those kind of steps. And I wanted to share with you right now. At the beginning, it was very hard to get the buy-in from the managers that, yes, why we are wanted to start to use automation next to the manual testing stuffs. We collected a lot of data. We measured the successes and the savings during we used test automation. And finally, when they got the buy-in, we got much more successes. But there was a point when we started. And we saw that we have a lot of requests coming from the testers, the manual testers. We have a huge backlog of requests. And, but unfortunately, we cannot do all of the automation stuff on time. So we started to figuring out that what we can improve. We created our own framework. We created our own function libraries, our modules. We started to use data-driven testings and so on. And as you can see, there was a huge success on test automation side. But there was a point when we could not get above the bar, what we set for ourselves as a test automation team, that we wanted to be much more successful. And that was the time when I asked the question that why we are failing, what's wrong with test automation? Because everybody knows that it's good, it's a must-have right now, but something is not worked how it worked previously. And the presentation is based on my experience. It's coming from the industry, it's coming from the daily work, and I wanted to share some findings with you. And I really hope that you are going to provide me some answers that why we are failing with automation, because I'm really interested in that as well. So the first one is changing environment and changing business. When we saw that started to create a lot of automated tests and running it frequently during testing cycles, there was a time when we got some requests coming from the testers that, hey guys, we know that you have some automated tests implemented in our business area. Is it possible to run it today in the afternoon for 5,000 times within 1 hour? No, because right now, as you know, we go back, we are using this for functional software test automation. This is not for performance testing. This is functional test automation. This is not the same, and they don't know this. So there's unrealistic expectations from them, and they don't know that the tools what we use for functional test automation is not capable for doing those kind of requests that run it thousands of times, parallelly and create some performance-like testings. We saw that we created automated tests smarter way, not on specific way. So we had a lot of smart automated tests instead of having specific tests. There's an example when also the testers come and they requested a lot of features that we implemented in existing tests. But when I look back, I saw that we are not used those kind of features within a test. So there was a waste of time to implementing automated tests and automated features in existing ones, instead of doing specific automated tests on a field. And it resulted that because of that, we are focused on to create a lot of new stuff, a lot of fancy stuff, in the automated tests. We are not documenting that. So we don't know what we are implementing in the test. And unfortunately, we realize that the testers don't have the proper documentation as well. So it was a really big question after that. There is a way, somebody's left the company as new colleagues come in. And if we don't have the proper documentations, the new colleagues, we don't know that what is the actual business process, for example, in a particular business area. So we don't know that what we have to test, because we don't have it documented. We don't document the automated test, so we don't know what the test actually does. And there was a time when we run it frequently on a monthly basis, a lot of tests, and there was only one month when all of the test runs failed. And we go back to the testers and the business said that, guys, hey, this is something wrong with the area because the tests are failing. Could you please provide me the information that what is changed on your area? What was the new functionalities implemented in the system? Why we got the errors during running the test? So those are bugs or not? And the testers and the area did not know this. They don't know that what is actually going around the business. They don't have the documentation. So they told us that, hey guys, you have the automated test, so probably you are the owner and responsible for know this. No, we are not responsible for that particular business area to have the knowledge. There are the business analysts, the testers, and those guys who are responsible for providing the information for the automated testers to, hey guys, you really need to update something in your test because there are some changes. The next one is, it was great to hear that a lot of you are using right now Agile. So the company like us, we used a traditional waterfall model. But when Agile came into the scope, there will be an issue, with the schedules. That was new. Everybody started to use Agile on a customized way, and we have tight schedules. And because of the tight schedules, the communication does not come on time. So we don't know what is the need on automated side. So we could not prepare for that on time. So we could not create automated tests on time for projects as well. And it resulted that there were late codings, not just only the programmer side, but of course on creating the automated tests as well. And it resulted that the test plannings started very, very late. And of course, it results that there was no proper test automation design and planning. We are using automation, but we will not know that what is the expectations from creating an automated test. What are the features we need to implement in the automated tests? And what do you think? Here is the first question. What can be the consequences if you have tight schedules? the communication does not come on time. You have very, very limited time to create automated tests. You are not going to have the time to test your automated test. So what do you think, what can be the consequences? Sorry? Wrong test results, yeah. That's the only one? Probably not. So what I find out that, how I called it, I saw that there is an effect that I will do your work. So we saw frequently those kind of sentences that the testers come to the automation team and yes, it would be great if I could run it when I want. That's okay, but if you don't have, for example, a test management tool where you integrate your automated tests and let the others have the opportunity to schedule and run the tests, sometimes it's very hard to manage the test runs. And there was a case when we said, okay, let's start to let other testers do the test runs because it can be much more effective, of course. So we have, and here's an example, a Selenium test, drive Firefox, and we implemented the test, give it to the testers, and they use it for 3 or 4 months. But after a point, during test cycles, 3 days left, from the test cycles, and the testers come back that, hey guys, the test is not works. And we asked, what happened? The tester says nothing. Then why does it not work? They don't know. Okay, during the test cycle. So it requires us almost a week to figuring out that, yes, the problem is they don't understand that test automation requires dedicated hardware and software environments. So running tests are not just, I'm going to copy the test on my laptop, my PC, and I'm going to run it. And we figured, and it turned out that the automatic upgrade checkbox was not clicked off, in the Firefox. So the browser refreshed, and it was not compatible with the proper Selenium WebDriver. So that was the cause. So nothing is wrong with the test, with the automated test. The issue was with the hardware and software environment. There were some compromises where they said that, okay, it's okay to automate the first half. I will do the rest manually. Because of the tight schedules, they thought that it's much more effective that we are going to do half work, using automation instead of automating specific proper tests. Just do something, at the very beginning with automation. We are going to save some time, but actually this is not test automation. It's help for them to reduce, time to finalize and finish the test cycles. More experienced colleagues. So at Debrecen, we are attending in the university, and there is a dedicated course, and we are using the ISTQB standards for having these software testing courses. And of course, there is a session around test automation. So the guys at the university get a great knowledge on software testing. It's good for us as well, because if we are looking for new candidates or new colleagues, we can select from the university as well. Of course, when they got into the company, they are so interested in test automation. So they're going to start to use automation and do some side scriptings. And they're going to exclude the test automation team. That's okay. They are experienced people. They are talented. They have some programming knowledge, the scripting knowledge. They start to create their own automated test. And here's the second question. So what do you think, what are the risks? Based on these, what can be the risks? If we are led them to running, they are creating their own tests, and so on. What I see is that it was very hard and difficult to thread the metrics. Lee Copeland's presentation was very interesting around the measurement and the metrics. Test automation is, we need to measure somehow that how effective the automation is. But we are starting to use automation, they are not focusing on to measure the success of automation. They're focusing on to start to work automation, but they are not going to ask these kind of questions from themselves and answering that how long does it take to implement. focusing on the return on investment. How many times they are going to execute the test? Are the application going to be available or not within the upcoming months or 2 months? So they are going to start to do automation. They don't know where we are going to store the metrics. They don't know the test automation related processes. They don't know what our frameworks looks like. There will be some code duplications. There will be a lot of issues with that. But and there was an example also that because of the tight schedules, because they have started to use automation, it's okay. At the end of the test cycles, if the tests are not worked, what they have started to create, they go to the test automation team and ask for their help. So, hey guys, I really need to do some additional manual testing, but right now I don't have the time to maintain or update my automated test. Could you please do it for me? What's your test is about? We don't know. You created that one, so why we are responsible for doing test maintenance? Because we are do you ask you the question that was the right test, what you automate or not? No. And that's the way how it starts to be very difficult. So the question is, why are we failing with test automation? Actually, we are not failing with test automation. It's impossible to do, and work without test automation right now. But we need to understand that when we're using agile or different kind of methodologies, we need to be there and try to find out that what is the best way to use automation. And I wrote down a lot of things that probably right now we have waterfall. Right now, it's agile is very popular. I don't know the future what going to be brings. For example, Watergile or Agile Fall or Skyfall. I don't know, but we need to make sure that because the environment is changing, the business is changing, we definitely need to take care on that and need to improve. So, yeah, we need to have automation because it's good. But at the end of my presentation, because I really wanted to stick to the time, some takeaway notes what we find out and we are really focusing on, and it helped a lot for us that yes, right now we can go on with the success of automation. Automation cannot be without continuous improvement. You definitely need to check and review your processes, what we have today, and if the environment is changing, you need to change your processes and that. If you change your processes, you need to follow the processes. If you have processes, use the processes. If you have new colleagues or new guys who are interested in automated testing, try to educate them. Educate the environment that what is the difference, for example, between functional testing, performance testing, and so on. Educate them then why we are using automation, why we are asked those kind of questions, and they are going to understand that. It's important to ask for feedbacks as well, that what we need to change, and if we ask questions, we need to acknowledge them as well. We need to select the proper automated test. Sometimes we need to say, no guys, sorry, this is not the best task for automating test. And the last one is, if others are starting to use automation outside of the dedicated automation team, try to provide support for them. Try to guide those guys that what is the best way to create more automated tests, what are the standards, how we use automation in our company, and of course measure. And it's important what Lee said, that don't measure if you don't know what it means. And don't measure if you are not going to use it. Your measurement will be your first sign, I think, where you can see that something is not going on a proper way. Don't wait until you get stuck in that, oh, right now we are stuck because our environment is working so differently. Thank you so much. It was it.
Thank you very much, Zoltan. Many learnings in the presentation. We do have time for questions, so please do ask. Thank you for keeping the timeline. Questions? I do have actually one question, but please do ask. Yours first. Well, my question, then let's start. I will start. So, how do you cope with the maintenance of the automated framework, or not only the framework but also the test cases? Like that's something that costs a lot in case of test automation. That's my experience. So, how do you cope with that? With the maintenance burden. How do you measure that? How do you get to the positive ROI at the end?
Oh yeah. So when we have a new request coming to the automation team, we definitely try to find out that yes. So how long does it take? So the application itself going to be available, for example, within the next 1 year. Are there going to be any new maintenance? For example, if you're doing user interface related tests on the UI, are there going to be any changes in the backend? And based on discussions, if we saw that, the application itself not going to be very stable or frequently going to be changed in the upcoming period, we are going to be estimate that how many hours or how many hours need for maintenance later on for the upcoming 1 year.
Next.
Over there? Yeah.
Over there? Yeah.
Hello. So you have told us that you have both internal and external products, like the ERP system is more an internal product, if I understand it right?
Yes, yeah. Yes.
Do you use different processes and methodologies to test the internal products and the external ones, as their profiles their profiles are highly different? Like external products are in electronics, and the internal products are more pure software products.
Well, yeah. So basically, yes, you got a great point. So the internal one, our ERP system is not a customer-facing system. Our e-business system, so our website where we are selling our products, is customer-facing. So at the back end on the ERP system, the waterfall methodology is much more common there, but on the e-business side, it's much more agile way. And that's the way how I said that, yeah, if there are some multiple or totally different methodologies, we need to figuring out that how we are working for those kind of software developments, and how test automation can be effective and successful for those kind of.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One more question. Be bold. Ask your question.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, then you can ask in the breaks from Zoltan.
Thank you.
Next presenter. Applause.